with Strombo and Chaos, right?
Oh, you're getting classics now.
And I never forget Strombo saying to me like, "Yo, you guys are the only black guys in here."
On that note, what up to the Elements? We back, season 2, right? Episode 3, and we got a legend in the house
right
here. David, Quick, Cox,
I'm cleansing. So
in the building. He's doing the H2O. We're here at Laylo doing our thing. And we're happy to have you, man. How you doing, brother?
I'm straight. It's good to see you guys, man. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
Always, man. We go so far back. We were talking earlier. Let's first off,
I have one question.
Give him the real introduction. Let's let Dave introduce himself. Let's let Click introduce himself as to who he was, how he started, the birth of hip hop for him.
That's the question right there.
Oh shit!
What made you get into hip hop? That's like we do 5 generics, but that's one right there.
It's funny actually. The other day I found this cassette. I came across some. I was trying to remember like what it was that like really made me dive in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I remember this old K-Tel cassette tape. It was like 83, 84, like around that era. And I'm like 10 years old or something. And it had Houdini on it. It had Run DMC on it. It had Sean Duke, rapping Duke, da-ha, da-ha. It had all that on that. And I actually found the cassette cover and I posted it on my stories on Insta because I was like, yo, shit, like this was the cassette. Like I found the cassette. Like
right.
I don't have I found the picture of the cassette.
Yeah.
Wow. I was like, this is the cassette that I had that like really made me dive deep in. Because you hear a song or you get like introduced, but what makes you dive in,
right?
You know what I'm saying? And that cassette, I used to run heavy, and that's like, okay, Run DMC. I started buying all the Run DMC stuff, and all the movies too, the Break-Ins, the Beat Streets, the Crush, all the Crush Groove. Yeah. So being like in that era where you discover music in that way, because I didn't have any older siblings, so like that I knew at that time. Right. Shout out to black families. Right. Shout out to black families. Right. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I lived in Alberta, so also I didn't have like you know the culture in the same way. So I really had to like dig into discovery through like television, fucking movies, you know, listening to the radio and digging.
Yeah,
and I'm a digger.
Yes.
Like, I dig.
Well,
your
right? New show, like
the true historian.
No, because
true hip hop.
And not even to jump too far ahead, he's dropping songs of the day. Remember that funk song that I sent you?
Yep.
That was from him, and I was like, who's this artist? And it's like, you know, a lot of people don't think you can dig nowadays because there's no, like the record store, like you're not buying records, so unless you're a DJ, you're not gonna go digging. But you dig online, like you go in, you like post stuff, and you're like, yo, this is a new artist. You probably don't know who it is, but this is a banging song, and I think that's crazy.
But that's what really did it for me, and I was always a dancer. You know, I always was into like moving and shaking and getting down, and you know. For me, y'all gonna laugh at me, but like the first dance I actually started doing was like jazz dancing. Like as a little kid, you know, I wanted to be a tap dancer. I wanted to be like, you know, my sister did tap, I did jazz.
That's dope, man.
And I was like, yo, I want to like get into like doing. Then I discovered like breaking. I was like, okay, yo, I went to the YMCA. I took breakdance lessons as a kid at YMCA. Like, you know what I mean? And then I was like, that was it. I was sold from that point on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's dope.
But like that was the introduction. When you ask like what really did it. You know what I'm saying? You know, just the music, to touch your soul, touch your body. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So you moved to the city when?
To Toronto in '94.
94.
Wow. Yeah.
Which was crazy because it's like.
That's the era of hip hop for all of us. Like,
I missed by like just a couple years of like some really amazing things that happened in Toronto. Like a little of those things, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny because like right before I moved, so the group I was in, Roger Mooking, who was in the crew I was in, right? So Roger, when he moved to Toronto, he ended up living with Jonathan Ramos. They were roommates.
Original Basis Bass, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Shout out to
know
Original
that.
Basis Bass.
I didn't know
Shout out
that
to
they-
Roger Moon King too, brother.
Yeah.
Shout out, brother.
Right?
So I never forget him saying, "Yo, man, I'm my roommate's like becoming a promoter, and he's bringing the Far Side." And that was like Ramos's first show. And I was
Yeah.
like, I was so pissed because I was like, man, if it, like I was already planning on moving, but like I was the only guy that was still finishing school.
Yeah.
So I was like, yo, I can't move to Toronto until like I finished the school thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I had dropped out, so I had to come. You know what I'm saying? I had to do the things,
exactly.
right? But it's just kind of funny because I remember him calling me saying, yo, the Far Side show is bananas, what they did on stage, and all. Like he just talked about all the antics and the dancing and like all the elements that they had into the show, and he's like, dude, it was bananas. I was so pissed, I missed that shit. But also like being in Alberta and watching much music all the time, and seeing like Run DMC in Toronto, and seeing like that's the shit that was like, yo, I gotta get out of this city.
Because much music, and you know, like Michael and T and they did a good job in terms of like
even
you know,
Monica Dio.
Monica, Electric Circus, That we were able to see. It's funny that you mentioned Electric Circus and Monica because I was watching some old clips and I'm like, is that Sanchez and then another one was Pinchers. I'm like,
oh yeah,
some real
big shows.
They used to real. It was crazy, like.
Man, our city TV is basically the MTV Raps of Toronto.
Yeah, it basically was.
Like literally.
Yeah,
it is true.
I mean, you see
people post videos all the time, like Americans and other people from other countries posting our videos.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, they're posting much music. Oh, they don't even know what the fuck that is.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's right. It's so true.
Oh yeah,
it's so true.
There's been so many performers in Much Music.
Right.
So what made you take the transition from dance to being an artist, like MC?
Well, I was never MC. I was more of a hype man.
Which I still consider.
I was like a Flavor Flav of the shit. You know what I'm saying? I was an animated, dude. But like for me, the business side of things came because I was also the elbow shaker.
Okay. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I was the dude like. And I also think I was the most handsomest out of them, but no, but it's because I always laughed at this. Like we go out to clubs, and because the group I was in a group called the Max Infinitive, right? And in the music video, which got like heavy rotation on Much Music. So when we go out to the clubs and shit, people would come up, and I swear to God, Darp would be right beside me, the MC, the rapper of the fucking group.
Yeah.
And some girl would come over and be like, yo, aren't you in that music video? I'm like, and they don't even recognize him. And I'm like, the good looking motherfucker. Sorry. But my point of it all is like whenever the time came to talk to people and like shake hands and rub elbows, like I was the guy doing that a lot of the time. Yeah. Like Darp was kind of like a really quiet, laid back guy. He wasn't. He wouldn't even remember your name if he met you today. He'd be probably like, he's really bad at that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Where I was like, yo, what's your name? What's your number? What do you do? I'm always like,
you're on
5 steps ahead.
Yeah, you're on.
You know what I mean?
That's what inspired you in the A&R?
Well, that's what inspired me just to be like, when you ask the question, like, how did you get transition from being a dancer into something else? It was more like, it came a point where it's like, okay, shit, I'm the one who's like thinking about how do we get our music out? How do we do this? How do I do that? Yeah. And learning the music business was kind of like the transition for me to say, okay, I'm not really gonna do this dancing thing as a regular, heavy, committed thing for the rest of my life.
I was gonna ask you, at what point in time were you like, and you're on it right now, like what point in time were you like?
I was about 22 when that happened. Like, and I have, so my crew, we were called Steppers. And my OG was a guy named Verb in our crew.
Okay.
And he was part of a crew called the Supreme Rockers.
Okay.
So they were like OG Edmonton 80s B-boys.
See, we getting history
Right?
right now. This is what I love.
I think I've heard of them. 'Cause I think the Groovaloos came, like in terms of the Groovaloos, when Sam, back in his time, came over into Canada. He spent time, I think it was in Edmonton.
In
or
Edmonton?
somewhere, one of those
Yeah.
places.
Yeah. And then, I mean, we had roller skating rinks. We had like all that shit in Edmonton, right? So
The Rum Jungle.
all that stuff. What you know about that?
Right. We had to perform there a few times.
That's funny.
Yeah,
That's
our first
funny.
time in Edmonton, and it was cold as shit, too.
Yeah, the Rum Jungle.
Yeah,
So-
the Rum Jungle,
so-
yeah.
So Verb was older than us. He was like, I was still in high school and he was in university. You know what I'm saying?
word.
So like, and he's a pharmacist, like he's in the pharmaceutical business now. Like, like
okay.
that's what he was studying to do. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
And so like, you know, it just came a point where he's like, yo, I'm not gonna be a dancer. I'm making money.
Yeah.
And he made that very clear to us. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah.
My other partner, who was my roommate at the time, so before I was Click, I was Style.
Okay.
So my original dance name was Style, and my partner was Finesse. So
Okay.
Style and Finesse. That's what originally all came.
Sick.
Now you're talking. Oh, that's some old school shit right there.
Because coming like the
that's all you do.
scoobing scrap, and you know,
Scoobing
freaking
scrap.
frack.
And that's
Everybody,
exactly who
leg
we were.
one and leg
That's
two,
exactly
yeah.
who we were inspired by.
That era.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
And this is like 89, 90 era. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
That was the era of like the big duo dancers.
It made sense,
like,
yes.
we were
Party
totally
dancing, hip-hop
That's
party
exactly
dancing.
how we got into it. You
Yeah.
know, he was from New York, but actually, it's funny. He got deported. So when he got deported from Canada, we and then Verb was going to university, and Lucky, who was another dude, Lucky Charms, he ended up, you know, wilding out and doing some shit. So
Okay.
it's like a lot of us all kind of like we're going our separate ways, and I ended up being like, if you look at Jungle Man, I'm the only dancer in there, because at that time, Finesse had been deported, Verb was in university, but before that, there used to be 4 dancers in the crew dancing on stage with the Maximum Definitive.
Word.
You know what I'm saying?
So you were just like, yo, the man right here, I'm gonna deal with this.
Right. So
Yeah.
when you ask about like how did I transition into
That's how it
something,
happened.
I'm the only dancer left.
Yeah. So
I was like, okay, shit.
It made it easy.
And you know, we got nominated for JUNO, we won a Much Music Award. It's like, oh shit, we've done everything we could done in the city. The only thing left was to move to where the action's at.
Yeah.
And so that's where Toronto came into play. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Okay.
And then coming here, the funny thing is when we moved here, the group split up.
word.
The officially broke up. Roger joined Bass's Bass, and then we formed a whole new group called the Soul Dwellers.
Okay.
And so like,
Yes.
and that was like me.
That's what I remember. I remember
that
this whole
that was
thing.
me trying to like get in my rap shit and stuff, but it was trash.
Was that with Shad and them? Shad, like,
No, this is like way before. This is like 95, 94. Like this is way before all that shit. But basically, that's when I really jumped into the business realm, because I was like, okay, shit, we have a whole album. You know, it was like, okay, how do we put out records? You know, being connected to Flex. You know, Farley Flex, and opening up for Maestro throughout the years and back then. You know what I mean?
Mice. Yes.
And like, you know, doing shit with Dream. Like any big act that was touring, we always opened up for them in Alberta. Like that Dream Warriors, Mission, like all of them, we were the ones who did it.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, there was a couple other, not to dismiss other dudes that were doing it then, because there was, that were also on the stage, but we were always in the mix. Right. So, you know, when I came here, I had relationships.
Yeah.
Because I already knew Flex, I already knew Ivan, I already knew different people, so I could connect and move and shake. But I was the one doing that moving and shaking.
Yes.
So that's really how I transitioned into business, because
That's crazy.
I just
though,
had
man.
to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was the era of independence.
yeah, it was.
Like you had all the, like everybody started realizing,
Coming
like I
out with their own
remember
stuff,
hearing
printing and distribution stuff. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
like I remember talking to Day, because I don't know how
Lee
I,
Fredericks.
I don't,
Lee.
My dude.
I don't know how I ended up like connecting with Sirius and
TJ Sirius.
Phase and them. But
Yeah.
do you remember they had an internet radio show?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so of course, yeah.
They
It
had
used to
an
be on Hamilton or something with was it Iceworks or
Ice
Ice-
something. You're right.
it was
Iceberg.
Yeah, Iceberg.
Iceberg.
Man, Iceberg. That
Right,
was
that
it.
was
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So-
yeah.
so-
Yeah, that was like one of the first.
One of the
internet-
very first internet, like before the
Yeah.
internet was the internet. It was like, oh
straight
shit.
internet. Yeah,
And they had a
streaming
radio
online,
show,
yeah.
so I went down to the show, and that's how I met Dave. That's how I met all these guys, and I would always chop it up with Dave. I was like, yo, so what do you do? How you doing this shit? He's like, yo, I got this record coming out. He played me the Shot Claire and Socrates record. Started hearing that
Father
shit in
Time
New York.
and all
I'm
that,
like, yo, they're playing this shit in New York. Because remember,
Yeah.
that you didn't get a lot of that.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, yo, how did you do that? Like, that's the shit I was on. He's like, okay, take notes.
Because even if you
know?
even if you talk to some of those, because when we used to go down for Rocksteady and all that stuff, they really were just like, oh, we know the backbone slide and drop the needle, and obviously because it was Mike's was being
Right.
pushed hard, right?
Yeah.
But then when you
And
started,
I remember
to hear,
Maestro did that time with Showbiz.
with
Right.
Showbiz and AJ,
Right.
they did that track, right? So then, to hear that Sox and Shocks were getting played over there was crazy. I think that was a time when we really started to breach into like American, I guess, industry.
Yeah. When the independent records started bubbling
Yeah.
and hitting people, they had the Frankensteins, the Citizen Kanes, the Mathematics, like all those records, like really, and that was like, okay, yo, we're gonna press up our own records. So I ended up pressing up my own records, and the rest is history. You know what I mean?
So you're at a point now where you're like, okay, I'm gonna do the business aspect of this. What did you do? You're like, I'm gonna go up to the office and like, right?
I worked at a record store. So when I lived in Edmonton, I worked at Sam the Record Man.
Okay.
And that's how I actually was able to get to Toronto. Because I was like, how the fuck I'm gonna, like, I actually was trying to convince Darp and Roger to move to New York. Because I'm American. I'm originally from the States, right?
Okay.
And I was like, yo, let's move to New York. I'm like, fuck this Canada shit, let's go.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, yo, we're both from Toronto originally. Our families are out there. It's smarter for us to go to Toronto. We have family. We can, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know nobody. But I didn't know nobody in New York either. I'm from LA.
You're from the West Side.
Yeah. So I was like, yo, I don't give a fuck. But I said, okay, let's go to Toronto. You know? So I transferred. Back in those days, you could go to your work and say, yo, I want to transfer to another location.
Right.
I'm still trying to keep some money in my pocket. I can't move to Toronto.
The sister store, Sam the Record Man, right there on Yonge.
So I moved to Toronto on the Sam the Record Man flex and worked there. And I think like while I was trying to put out our independent records and doing all that mixing and mingling and all that type of shit, I was always like, okay, I need to work for a record company. Like I need to like learn the BI from like inside the horse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I applied everywhere. Like
Word.
this is when there was 9 record companies.
Yeah,
like,
BMG, Jive,
Polygram. There was
yeah.
like so many huge record companies in the early 90s, right?
Yeah.
And Capitol and like EMI. Like there was all so many
This
different
is
companies,
ill.
right?
We're gonna get into the street team talk.
Right.
And I was like, okay, how can I get on the street team? How can I like,
Yeah.
because like I knew the Rascals before they were Rascals. They were Ragamuffin Rascals because
Yeah.
we did shows with them in Vancouver. Right? So I knew Saul Guy, all that type of shit, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Saul, yes.
you know, but it's interesting because that era and that time was it was hard. Like I don't think record companies weren't letting people in the door. Like it was hard to get into record companies. You know, I applied everywhere. I put my resume on every single opportunity I could. I was managing the record store, so I knew I was buying the records. I was like, okay, I'll take 10 of those.
Yeah.
I'm gonna return these records to you because they didn't fucking sell.
Yeah.
Like I knew what records were
You probably
doing
hated
what.
us because we were fucking going in the store and stealing tapes and shit.
Don't worry, I was doing it too. Shit.
We were like, Sam, recommend take that shit out of
Anyway,
Pulling the label up.
right? Pull the label out, pocket that shit.
So I think like that was an era of like trying to figure out the BI, and it wasn't until like I started working with Ramos that I like literally got that foot forward. You know what I mean?
And how was it? Were you intimidated, like making that change? Was it a scary feeling to be like, okay, now I'm getting into the business aspect.
No,
of it.
no. I'm not that dude.
Yeah.
I'm a hungry chaser.
Ready to go.
Ready to,
Yeah.
get to it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I've never been that type of like scared to chop it up or scared like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I'm just,
yeah.
I'm that dude. You know what I mean?
That's
It's like
dope.
it's like a b-boy. Yo, the floor is open. Let's get it in. Like
Yeah.
you can't be scared. Even though I'm scared now. That's one place I will not jump into.
but
I guarantee you I guarantee you many times I've been at you guys' ciphers and been like, yo, I want to go. And I'm like, nah, you can't. You
I hit
can't
him
fuck
up
with
the other
these
day.
guys.
I was
You
like,
can't
yo,
fuck
quick.
with these guys.
I was like, yo,
man.
quick, you know how to dance, bro. Stop fronting because he threw on a shot. And then the next day, he just threw it down. I said, yeah,
Yeah, I
baby,
see that.
get him.
I see.
I was like, get him.
Actually, you inspired me.
No,
you 100% inspired me, man.
No,
Dope,
because
dope,
a lot of people
dope.
don't understand, like, and it's not just to say from dance, but any part of, you could be a graffiti artist or DJ or even MC. You can transition into hip hop and do something different. A lot of people think they're stuck in their element. You know what I mean?
And there's so much that is attached to the actual elements themselves.
Which
that
you can-
play a key integral
Which
part
you
in.
took some of the dance
Yeah.
and some of the MCing and some of the stage presence and you put that into the BI, which is like how you express how you do your
You're
job.
100. I mean, that's what's so great about the culture.
Mm-hmm.
The culture of hip hop is like it's so diverse and so rich that you can get all the 3 different type of meals and learn which one you're best at making possibly.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
indeed,
that's
yes,
what I
indeed.
did. Like actually, while I was doing b-boying and dancing, I had a dude in my neighborhood, another guy who really put me onto some shit. Like, so I skated too, right? I was a skateboarder too, right? So I had two dudes in my neighborhood. One guy was a skater, other dude was a graffiti writer.
Okay.
So he was amazing, and the one guy that was a skateboarder, he was older. He put me on to Rakim. You know what I'm saying? The graffiti writer is way older than all of us, and he put me onto like the Boogie Boys and he was like
shit.
he put me onto like the older type of shit,
Yeah,
right? The
yeah.
Houdini, like he went digging deeper and really opened me up to some shit. But I remember I was skating in the neighborhood one day, and he came by, and it's the first time I met him. He said, "Yo, let me try a couple tricks on your shit." Older guy. Yo, give me your board, man. That type of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And we started chopping it up and say, "Oh, what do you do?" So I'm a graffiti writer. I do graph. I do burners and shit. I said, "Oh, word. Okay. What's your name?" He said, "Ice." I have my eyes blew out of my head. I was like, "What the fuck?" Because that name, Ice, you would see all over the city. But his burners were absolutely amazing. Right? And there was one literally across the street. I was like, "You did that?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Holy fuck." Like I was just blown away. And funny enough, I actually reconnected with him last year.
Oh, really?
For the first time in like 30 years.
Oh, word, man.
He's been in and out of the penitentiary like heavy.
Real life shit. Yeah.
Has life issues, right?
Yeah.
But he was just like, hey, I was like, "Oh, I'm inspired. I want to do that shit." So I'm saying, like, when we learn something, we want to try it. I remember going out with him, and I had we went out late one night,
with
going
the
on the walls with the cans and shit. I was like, "Yo, I'm in wild style, motherfuckers." I was like, "Yeah, watch me throw some shit up." This shit was so whack, and I was doing style at that time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
It was so whack because I said, he's like, "Oh, you gotta just do it more, and you'll learn." I was like, "Nah, man. I'll stick to dancing and skating. Fuck this shit." But when you see like what you're not really like, you have to go where you feel your passion pulls you in, but also where your confidence takes you.
Yes.
Indeed.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you could say you're really good at, like, you could say you really like something, but like, does your confidence exude the
With
best
that.
out of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, exactly.
And I just felt like the business is being where I've been the most successful because that's where I've been the most confident.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I can hold it down with anybody in that space.
No, because you guys.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Your journey is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
if you think about, from when we've known you till now, it's like you've done a lot in terms of, especially for artists in the city, right? So, and a lot of people don't know the behind the scenes.
You're the
right?
quiet storm.
Yeah, they don't. They see people. They see the artists making music and whatever,
But they don't see the guys who are behind the person, like the actual
Right.
spine of that person.
Right.
Holding the structure.
right that convince the record companies like this is a great artist and so on and so forth. So, so who did you A&R for first?
Well, it's interesting you said because I feel like when you say first, I feel like that would be like my initial crew.
Yeah,
you know what
right.
I mean? Like,
So you handled all that.
Like, even thinking about like my boy E. So like it's so when we came here and the Soul Dwellers, we ended up connecting with a guy named Garfield.
I remember Soul Dwellers.
Yeah, man.
Garfield Moses Thievery. You know what I'm saying? And then there was Earl.com. Earl, Earl's from Edmonton as well.
Oh, for real?
But he was actually part of a rival crew of ours.
That's tough.
Like a crew that like blood had been shed over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember the day Darp said, "Yo, I'm talking to E." I was like, "What the fuck?" And E was with my ex-girlfriend too, so I also had another problem with that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. One of those ones. It's like we're from.
I'm like, "Why are you talking to him, man? What the fuck's up with that shit, right?" But he was like, he's like, "Nah, dude." Like he hit me up and he was like, he was praising us. I was like, "Word? Okay, why?" Like, you know what I mean?
You're skeptical. You gotta be like,
and
why?
at that time, we were really struggling. Like, we just moved to Toronto, not a lot of money in our pockets, trying to figure out shit, trying to figure out the business. And Darp didn't have a studio to work out of, didn't have any equipment to work out of. And Earl sent him his equipment on a Greyhound.
Oh, wow. Word.
And that was the truth right in the pudding right there. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, yo, he's
Keeping the wheels turning.
He's
Yeah,
good.
he wants-
He's
yeah,
good
that's a good-
people.
yeah,
So no
that's a
matter
good
like
brother.
what
Happened
issues
before.
there was,
He
like
wants to keep that wheel
for him to
turning.
like show that he really believes in us, and he was like really like, yo, you guys really left the city to follow your dreams. Like that's amazing. And then he followed.
That's dope.
And when he came here, I was always like blown away by like his creativity. And I remember one of the first guys thinking about like when you're asking about A&R, and like that was when I think about people that I was always thinking about like who to team them up with, what types of sounds to put them with, like how to actually manifest their things, you know? And a guy named I had met a dude named Complex, Mr. Complex,
Of course.
right? And I met him at a show he had out here. His girl at the time was from out here, so he'd come out here a couple times, and I connected with him, and I was like, yo, I think you would be dope on a record with my boy E, and that I made that happen.
Right on.
And brought Masimba in,
Rest in peace.
brought Sims in to cut on the record.
Rest in
Do you know what I'm
peace,
saying?
soul, baby.
The record's called Stoop, Dope, and Fresh. Shit is, and him and DJ Crossfader, Masimba and them actually cut different parts of that record together.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is such a, I'll never forget that session. But like thinking about like the first kind of A&R things that I was really trying to piece things together and help artists do what they want to do and make what they want to make, like that was part of that, and
so
and
dope.
also thinking about like Earl's, just his trip in life, he ended up connecting with like, and worked with Nonfiction.
Yeah,
and that
I
was
remember
because
that Nonfiction, remember?
and that's
Oh,
because like
man,
I had booked
memories.
shows with Nonfiction
Yeah.
and met those guys, so I was able to like, yo, you should meet Ill Bill. Like,
he's like-
boom, boom, boom. You know what I'm saying?
Click is like,
I'm a connector.
and not only that, but if you want to get deep into like
Yeah, real historian. That's
real
what I said.
historic from group to group and how it all flourished, you were in it, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that's why we think it's so important to do this, because a lot of, like we say, like if you look at New York and LA, they document all their shit, right?
Right.
Toronto, we just now starting to document our stuff, right?
I believe my biggest, like one of my biggest mentors was Ramos, like because like, he was the first person I met when I came here
REMG.
because of Roger.
Yeah.
And because of that in our relationship, he was always opening up the door like, yo, I'm doing this show, come to the show, like that type of shit.
Yeah.
So I was able to go to all the shows,
Yeah.
do things, and then it came a point when like I was helping him with all the 416 Expo shit. So like,
Yeah.
I was involved and all the 416 Expo shit.
That right
which
there.
is like ground zero for like the b-boy scene.
Period. Sims, you,
Yeah,
Ramos,
yeah,
like that.
Serious Phase, all those guys.
It was
you know?
it was like when you guys did the 416 Expo, you got
it became the wild style of hip hop for Toronto.
For Toronto, it was like a place for
Because
us.
it included everything.
But I also feel like what's important, like what I feel is missing today, is those like enough events that are done on that scale that keep the culture alive.
Yeah.
And inform people and educate people of what the culture is. Do you know what I'm saying?
right.
Yeah.
And that's what that did, because there was the popping bottles,
That's right.
glamour and glitz shit happening.
Yep.
But what keep people grounded is that shit there.
Right there.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because you had the open mics, you had the like people had to show and prove.
Yeah, there was.
You had the circles, you had to show and prove.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that was what was great about that 416 Expo era. And then
That era period.
I love these conversations because they help me remember these things and keep the things fresh in my mind. But like, you know, one of my closest friends is Juan. You know that, right?
Yeah, of course.
I originally met Juan. He was a radio host at CHRY on a show called
You guys don't know
Oral
what that is.
Oral Amination, I think it's something like that, right? With a guy named Cola.
Okay.
Okay, and the two of them did this radio show, and Classic Entertainment, Soul Dwellers and E and Garfield, we went to go do an interview on that radio show. Because I was like, yo, at that time, like talk to the guys like Day and Ray, like, yo, you got to go to all the radio shows. You got to know every show.
Yeah.
You got to plug your music. You got to push your music. You
Radio
know what I'm saying?
college radio was the thing for us. That's where we got it from.
So I would
right?
literally call up all the radio shows. I would every day. I'm on the radio because we had radio shows every day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would call up the rest of yo, I'm so and so. I want to send you a record. I want to come through. So I would just do that shit. And I came through that show, and we just connected. Like Juan and me and Cola, we all just connected. We had a great cipher on that show, and I just stayed connected to him, and Cola, and I forget how this all happened, but the big turning point, and I guess like for me that I recognize in my life, is that like 80, 99, around that time, because Ramos was like, yo, I want to start a new series called Elemental.
Yeah.
And offered if I wanted to be a partner, like actually put money up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you know what I mean?
Elemental
I'm
was-
trying to make some money, you know what I mean?
That was ill.
And Cola was the other person who was part of that. So it's funny because like, okay, Cola came in. I was like, oh, I know you from that radio show, and so all of us were part of that, and we all kind of came together on like who should we be bringing to Toronto?
Yeah.
And me and Cola, like Cola had a crazy collection. Like he was getting all the records sent to him from the States because he had the radio show. He knew what was popping.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, because I was like, no, it's not a diss Ramos.
That was like around the last.
Ramos
of the DJ
knows his
pool
music,
era.
but he's not a digger to know like what's about to come.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes he needs to hear it, but
Yeah.
he'll know what's good. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yes.
And I'll never forget like Cola and me, because like at that time, this is like 99, 98.
Yeah.
I had a cassette tape. And this cassette tape I used to bump so fucking hard. Slum Village, fantastic. Okay?
First off.
And so I was like, and Cola was like, Slum Village. I was like, oh, you know Slum Village? He's like, yeah. I said, yo, we gotta bring. No, nobody knows them. Like, that's what we're saying to ourselves. Like, nobody knows them.
Yeah.
But it will be mad cheap because they're from Detroit.
Yeah,
and
'cause they're
Dilla,
right there.
and Dilla's like the tribe, and like we
Yeah.
knew who Dilla was, and maybe
Wasn't that Opera
we
House?
could really sell this. No, it was
No,
Comfort
it
Zone.
was
Comfort Zone. That's right.
Comfort
Comfort
Zone.
Zone. Comfort Zone. That's right.
And so that was our
You
first.
can tell with the low ceiling and shit.
That
we
was
want
that
footage.
was our first show, and
That's when T3 had dreads.
We had planned out the whole that whole summer because it was a weekly event. Every week it was a different act.
Yeah, 'cause
and the
Elements-
whole idea was all elements.
Because he even
All
he even
element
brought
styles.
wigs. That's
So
what
we
he
brought up
Wiggles.
Wiggles.
Yeah.
We brought because we had brought up Fable for 416
Yeah,
Expo.
that's
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
That's right.
So and then we brought up what's his name, Craze.
Craze,
We
yeah.
brought up we wanted the
Craze,
whole weekend to have all the elements of the styles. You know what I'm saying? and Bahamadia was on one, Fife Dog was
Yeah,
on one,
yeah,
like
yeah.
all these,
You guys
all those
went
cats,
in
right?
hard.
And I actually think Ramos might have took my idea, because the summer before that, I tried to do an event at Caravana Weekend myself, right? And I brought Mr. Complex down.
Okay.
And it bombed because it was Caravana fucking weekend and nobody wanted to go to a fucking hip hop show.
Right? Exactly. Everybody wants to jump up and wave, right?
Right? But I called it Beats and Rhymes, and it was actually, the flyer looked like Beat Street.
Okay.
Right? And I think I even had Fat Ski on that show. And RC,
shout out to Fat Ski.
and RC. Right?
Another
So
brand.
our connection to all those cats has been from those times of the 41X Expos, the Planet Mars. Like I was going where I've been to all those joints because I was there.
Right. RC with
You
the
know what I mean? But I think a lot of that's because of what you're talking about. Like this is actually coming. I'm having a
flashback, brother.
not a flashback. I'm having a moment right now. I'm like realizing something. Like because when you ask about like, how did you get in the business and why is this? I'm thinking, why was I at all these different places? Like, why was I at Planet Mars, 416? But also at the same time at the club with Starting from Scratch.
Yeah, right.
Why was I at all these spots? Yes, it was for the love of the music and love of hip hop, but there was an alternative motive. I was like trying to get my BI on.
Exactly.
You know? And I was trying to know who's what and who's doing what and where's the fucking action at.
Yeah. Which is so dope.
You know? And I think like that is what led me to work at record companies, because I had applied, every record company got denied, and then one day, without even applying, I get a phone call from BMG saying, we want you to come in for an interview.
Crazy.
And I realized that was because of my reputation of being everywhere.
Yeah.
And
put the work
putting the work in.
Yeah. You put the work in.
And that's what I teach now. Like when I mentor and talk to people now, it's like, you have to build a reputation for yourself.
Right on.
You can't think like it's a silver spoon. No. And I for many years I felt that way because I had success with the rap group. I think I was drinking the Kool-Aid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. We went through the same thing, right? We went through the same thing where we were drinking the Kool-Aid.
But again,
after
our era was we came from a more competitive era than what you see now.
Oh yeah, and that too.
So we had to really like be hands-on on everything, just like you said, like, you know.
I absolutely like. I'm so happy to say that I was around to watch you guys battle. like I always think about like my favorite moments of you guys was actually seeing Intricate and you guys.
And you know it's
and the reason why it was real, like it was authentically real,
and it was shit that you went through.
Yes.
I was talking to homeboy's ex-girlfriend.
There was some personal shit.
There's some personal shit, and we went to the school in Jane Street.
Remember that time in the 90s, hip-hop here in Toronto, like, remember, there's hoods.
Yes.
And everybody was backing their hood. Like, you had people back, like, for example, you came out of Rexdale, you already knew.
Yep.
You had the Ghetto Concept, there was Diamond X, the whole fam, like, you know, you had everybody. Alien Payback, rest in peace, all those guys, you know what I mean?
Finch had Warriors and
right, and then here it is, all these areas with the subgroups all had the dancers coming from those neighborhoods too, so it was very competitive. Like people used to think, oh, Bag of Tricks is a gang, Intricate was a gang because
they did.
When we were at certain places, they're seeing a lot of other people from the neighborhoods that were behind us, not they were just there like. Yeah. In case anything jumped off.
Oh, I remember. I don't want to say their name, but I'll never forget a show. Actually, it's one of my favorite fucking shows with you guys. In the same show. Okay. It was Smooth the Hustler and Trigger the Gambler show at Lee's Palace.
At Lee's Palace.
Okay? And I'll never forget that show because it was very stressful for Ramos.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you remember who the opening act is, but they came with like 40 deep.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
They came 40 deep,
yes.
and Ramos is like, "There's only 2 of you guys in the group.
Why is there 40
why is there 40 guys got to be on stage?"
Yeah.
And he was mad stressing,
and
but motherfuckers were like, "Yo, we are coming in."
Yes.
Like it was like that. It was scary.
And it was one of those. And it was one of those things where it was like, when you bring a certain artist, you bring that kind of energy too.
Yeah.
So you bring in trigger the gambling smooth out. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
these men are gonna show up to this show.
It was such a G show, but like what was dope, and that's why I said what's so dope is like that energy that I felt outside, but then when you came inside and saw you guys in the middle battling with Intricate,
Yeah.
it made the energy different.
Yeah.
And it made it back to like this is hip hop.
This is hip hop.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And I remember that. I remember y'all going at it that night, and it was so ill. Like that shit was ill.
That's crazy, man. That's just crazy
There's
shit.
been
right
many.
there.
There's been many moments like that.
It's
Too.
crazy. So BMG, how many years did you
Like a year and a half.
with BMG?
Yeah,
Right?
and I kind of took over the reins of like the Jazzies and the Saul guys,
Yeah,
and all those guys, and his was like there. His hired me, so like, you know, from that era, and then I went to Universal from there, and then working at Universal, then I started doing A&R on a major level, which probably the most successful was like Julie Black.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like in terms of like record sales and having a plaque on the wall.
Yeah. Right on.
You know,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of other projects that I championed and
Yeah.
got behind that didn't even get signed, but like I was there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and like it's funny because just recently, like I've been talking with Urs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I signed Urs, right?
Corey D's Black Cat.
And it
Woo!
was just funny
Man,
because
Trix.
all four of us
Trix.
were on WhatsApp together, and I was like, "Yo, I got the demo. Like, I have the album that they have never released still. Like, there's a whole album that's amazing." And they're like,
I love those
motherfucking
guys.
Universal fucked up on this shit.
Yeah. Because they didn't back it, right?
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
but it is what it is. But I love those guys, and I'm happy that I'm able to have that relationship still with them, even if shit didn't go down right, because they know where my heart was at and they
Yeah.
know what I was trying to do. You know,
And-
there's
and-
one other artist that I signed that was more on a pop level shit that I actually loved and had so much like money backing it and did so much with it, but it flopped and I had to drop them.
Who was that?
I don't want to even talk.
All right. Okay. All right. Yeah. Hold that down.
Not on camera, but
Cheers.
you know.
Yeah.
But like the only reason why I bring this up is because it's like I can't he doesn't there's no. I feel like there's bad blood. Like I feel like he's like, fuck you, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, man, it's not like it's just the business. It's the business. Like you should recognize how hard I fought for you.
Yes.
And like, yeah, it didn't work out, but like, you know, if you want to be real about it, I'll tell you why. You know what I'm saying? But like,
exactly.
I don't think everybody always wants to hear the
that.
truth. You know what I'm saying? You can't handle the truth.
Right? And that's the beautiful thing about it. It's like going back to being in the elements of hip hop, whether you're dancing or you know, writing or whatever, you have that rawness where somebody's gonna tell you, yo, that's whack.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you need to fix it up or whatever in order to make it better. And you brought that into the BI. It's like, yo, dude, this is how the business works.
Right.
And as much as I'm backing you, this is what you need to do in order to make this shit work. And if you're not going to do it, it's not going to happen.
But again,
right?
it all depends on which generation that particular person came out of too, right? Because again, our era, we have that hard back. We're able to tell a person,
Yeah, we got the turtle shell.
That was some bullshit you did. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck was that? And then, you know what? Yeah, you're right. This era now, brother, man, you got to be careful what you say.
Yeah,
everybody now is just like,
everybody's-
it's sensitive, man. You got to get the baby bib out and get ready. Like,
You can't even tell people how you feel.
yeah, for example, how was that? Like, because being an A&R and you're putting out there and you're doing the work for some of these people, and then it doesn't go the way you want it to go. How was like some of those moments for you? Like, as that person, believing in this person, and here it is, you're trying to push, and in that moment doesn't even get through for that. Like,
It hurts. It's like, you know, especially when you really want it so bad. You know, and that's one of the that's one of the things I'm trying to I still battle with sometimes. I feel like somebody always says you don't work harder than the person you're working for.
Yeah.
In the game, like you know, you have to work. You have to do as much as they are doing or more. You know what I'm saying? Or they have to do. You know what I'm saying? They have to show them proof.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's when you see somebody and you know that they put all the work in, and you see the results of it, and it doesn't connect. That it hurts.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you know, but the real fruits of the labor is the grind and the perseverance and like the to continue going no matter what. Like that's what matters most. And that's what I'm learning still to this day. It's like, you know, it might not happen in a year, it might not happen in 5 years, it might not happen in 10 years, it might happen in 15 years.
But it's gonna happen.
But it's gonna happen if you have the will, desire, and drive, and like consistency to continue making what you need to make. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and I always I always say this to artists too, like especially when making records. Make records that you are happy that you can go to sleep with, and you can live with for the rest of your life.
Indeed.
Don't make records that you are trying to please for other people.
Exactly.
Don't make records to please me. Make records to please yourself, because this is a record you have to live with for the rest of your life.
That's your soul.
And if everybody loves it and it goes sky high, that is icing on the cake and a cherry on top.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the real cake, like you baked the cake, you made it. Be
Yeah.
happy with what you created.
Yeah.
And if you could walk away with that, even if it wasn't the expectations you had for it didn't
Still a
come
victory.
through, you still feel
Yeah, it's still
a
a
sense
victory.
of victory.
Yeah.
So when you ask that question, like how do I feel about things that like might not have taken off, I'm still proud of them. Like I don't sit around and cry about it, because I know I put something magically into this shit.
Yeah.
And if motherfuckers didn't know what time it is, they didn't know what fucking time it was.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. Yeah. Straight up.
You know what I'm
Straight
saying?
up. Straight up.
You know?
Straight up.
And that's just what it is.
Straight up. We're gonna hit him with the generics, because I see this the hoodie you're wearing today.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. So
TC.
I'm gonna ask now. First hip hop tape, cassette, or record, whatever that you actually acquired, whether it was purchased or not.
It was like I think it was called Kings of Rappin'. I think it was that K-Tel cassette that I was talking about.
Kings of Rap
That was
Volume 1?
That was the first
Yeah,
one that I ever got. Like that was the first cassette, and then from there it would be Run DMC or Fat Boys. It would have been one of those two.
Oh, word.
And this is like 84, 83. So
Yeah.
like yeah,
That's
would have been the first ones.
wow. That's crazy, man. No, because
Tougher than leather era and all that.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. Like I
Yeah.
remember, this is how old you are when you sit around and say, "I remember pushing the cassette tape to write down lyrics,
Yeah.
and then hit rewind button to like, oh, I missed the word. What is that word?
Word,
Like,
yeah, right,
like
right.
literally, that's how we didn't have no genius. We had to write out the lyrics.
How did the two fingers have to work on the thing?
And I remember doing that heavy for a Tricky, Run DMC.
Yeah.
And y'all gonna fucking laugh at me. I Need Love by LL Cool J. You know, I was trying to get a girl or something. You know, I was like, yo, I need love. I was like, I need to know all the lyrics of this
But
song.
that was a crossover track. That was
I remember Ron Nelson killing that on 88.1.
That was a
back in the
crossover
day,
track, yeah.
When that album came out.
Big up Ron.
I think that might be like to me, I think that's like the first like real ballad rap song that was like
Yes.
a hit record.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, Fat Boys had the Falling in
Love,
Love
yes.
is a serious thing.
But
Dude,
the way
that was
LL's
a
hit,
but the
though,
way LL hit, yeah.
I was like, damn, this is what's happening with hip hop music, because it was so hard before. It was always hard,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Then he came out with I Need Love. So I was like, damn.
Oh, yeah, guys, but that was the thing. Eh? Every hip hop album back then, you realized they had a slow song for all the ladies.
Yeah,
Like when you think
but they
about
were whack though.
Houdini, One Love.
One Love.
You're lucky just to have just
one
one
love.
love.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel romantic.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
but
It was
listen,
just
but if you
funky.
take in the rhythm, it almost had that loose ends feel, like doom,
Yeah, totally.
doom.
Yeah, you're right.
Totally. That vibe was
And
there.
then you had Curtis Blow, and they had their everybody had
Everybody had
something
their-
for the ladies.
Gal children, so yeah,
Yeah.
favorite, I would say, okay, top, I don't want to do top 10 because that's probably too much. Top 5 MCs.
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, I know.
You can't do it. That is so hard, especially like now. Like when
'Cause
somebody,
you
first
dig.
of all, when somebody asks me that question, I have to say to them, right at this moment,
Yes.
the artists that come to mind.
Yes.
Because there's just so many.
Yeah.
Yeah, the type me too.
There's way too many, and the styles are different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I like people for different reasons and different occasions
That's
and
right.
what it is. You know what I'm saying? But like, you know, if you're asking me like my favorite, you're talking like what am I like? Who do I fuck with? You know
Yeah,
what I'm
like,
saying?
from a
Versus
day-to-day
like
basis.
who are your top?
Yeah.
Who are the top 5 in the world?
Yeah,
I
like on a day-to-day
That's like
basis,
me
like
too.
what do you play, like
Right,
what
right,
MC
right,
or
right,
what female
right.
MC that you
Well,
played?
it was fun. It's funny because I'm a DITC dude, man. Like,
Dope.
I
Original
You know,
digging
bam,
in the
bam,
crates.
bam,
was saying,
bam, bam,
I
bro.
was saying like one of my favorite. I think it's definitely in my top, like my top favorite records of all time is Diamond D.
I was about to say that.
Hip hop, like
Brother,
Sally's.
that album is out of control.
that whole album.
Check 1, 2, all of that.
Yeah. I went from mine.
That's
Dope,
oh.
like
That's when the beat era just started. Like, if you take in hip hop beats
no,
at
but
that
it's
time,
like it's bigger than that. Like that record is a masterpiece in
Yeah.
terms of in terms of the songwriting,
yeah.
the storytelling,
And
like,
even-
like red light, green light, 1, 2, 3, like and then the breaks that he used and how he created
what I'm saying.
that. It's a real masterpiece.
the production
album.
sound was
Do you know what I'm
different
saying?
then, yeah.
So like when I think about and just his voice and his style and his flavor, like to me, out of all the DITC camp, like that's my favorite album. Even though I love like OC and I love Lord Finesse
Yeah,
and I
for
love
sure.
Big L,
But
but as
that
an album,
album,
that's my record.
Yeah, Diamond D.
And so when you ask me like
That
what's my
was the
favorite
shit.
lyricist or
Yeah.
favorite record that I always go to, that one pops in my head first of all, right? Bam, right
That's
away.
huge.
You know what I'm saying?
That's huge.
Like that's a major thing for me.
That's huge.
And then it's funny, I you know, Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang is so ill with it. And I really like I don't y'all watch the Wu-Tang saga?
Yeah.
The like I don't always call it a biodoc or
Yeah.
the series. I think they did a good job with that shit.
Yeah, they did
the
a-
casting and all. I love that shit.
Yeah, I love the Wu-Tang side.
But like out of that, it's funny because over the years my favorites have changed. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying? Like
yeah.
when they very first came out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Everybody took Meth.
You know, I was like Meth
Yeah,
and,
it was
and
Meth
Ray
first. Yeah,
and
Ray.
like there's certain and ODB because like just the shit.
Yeah.
But then when Ghost is probably
That's
one
my
of my
man.
favorite
Ghost and
out of
Ray
all
is
of
my
them. Do you know what I'm saying?
Brother,
like
at first
Tony
I-
Stark's like I'm
I
a guy,
mean,
like
pretty tone.
you know, and I really and it was the built for Caribbean Links that really opened me up to the chamber.
Yes,
you know what
it
I'm
did.
saying?
It did.
And
because he put me onto Ghost.
I was a heavy, huge Ghost.
He was like, no, you got to take Ghost.
Ghost is
and
big
then,
because you can realize these guys are talking some real stories.
Well,
That, you know,
and then
the
from
Iron
Iron
Man, the Iron Man was the record that really like I was heavy on, and it's funny because like I was really fucking with MF Doom at that time too.
Okay.
And I always thought it was funny that they both of them had the same
That
kind
same
of
kind of concept,
kind of
yeah.
text going on,
Yeah.
but like different styles.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
I thought it was just super interesting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who else? I mean, I gotta say JD, like Dilla, like just it's not like a lyric, it's a flavor thing. It's a
Yeah.
feeling thing.
Yeah.
It's a swagger. It's that whole vibe he brings to the shit. Like
Yeah, no,
you know,
when I first heard him
I
rap-
rate him on that level.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
When I first heard him rap, I was like, Dilla? Like it was weird because, and he even says it in some of his songs. A lot of people think he was on some backpacking shit, but when you hear him spit,
Oh no.
it's real Detroit shit.
And I knew that when I met them, when I picked them up to bring to Elemental.
Yes, yeah.
These motherfuckers came in 2 Range Rovers on big dubs. I was like, okay, these motherfuckers are balling.
Yeah.
Like, they you know, necklaces, and
Yeah,
the gold.
yeah,
I was
gold.
like, okay, these guys are on a different, like, they're not like, you know, gold medallions, but like they're not.
No.
shout out to Frank and Derek. Shout out Frank.
They're not like African medallions and like they're
No,
not
no,
like that
they
at
were
all.
coming
You know
on-
what I'm saying?
on some X-Clan shit or no, they were straight
You know?
like.
So I mean,
Blinging.
that's 3 I mentioned right now. Shit. Who else I fuck with that I really like? I mean, Tribe, Q-Tip is just ill to me, man.
Oh yeah, he's always going to be up
yeah.
there.
You know, and my favorite is Low End Theory. Like if I was to go to relate to a record, I always get in fights with certain people, but I know how old they are when they tell me.
Yeah.
Like Midnight Marauders, because there's always a toss between those two.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny? I sometimes I feel like what are the records I go to the most is actually the Footprints album.
The very first one.
And Low End I go to the most.
Yeah.
And it's mainly because of the era that I was in.
Yes.
Like I grew up going to clubs with the Footprint record.
Yeah.
Like I was out there, you know, going to after hour clubs and house clubs.
Yeah.
I was heavy into Jungle Brothers. I was heavy into De La. Like that's my realm, and our crew was very similar to that realm.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like that whole clique is just something that really
The
resonates
Native
with
Tongue
me.
clique,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
Native
whole
Tongue,
clique, the Tribe, the Jungle Brothers, the fucking De La, all that stuff. Like they can't do me wrong, really. They haven't done me wrong, really.
And he actually answered like 2 of the generics in one, because we were going to talk about production, but you've already kind of nailed that. You already nailed that with the Diamond D and the Q-tip.
You kind of see what type of guy I am by
Yeah.
the names I drop, because it's a very East Coast boom bap type of shit. But like, you know, I do like all types of music. Like I'm a very diverse person.
Which comes back to
And-
the A&R question.
Yeah.
Is so, you know, you're heavy into hip hop, but being an A&R, you got to have like a vast.
You don't have to.
Well, not necessarily, but did that make you feel like you were only looking for a certain type of artist just because of music you were listening to?
No.
Or were you able to be like, I love all kinds of music, and it opened you up to like listening to different artists and saying that this person
there's
has talent?
there's two things to look at as an A&R and a champion. Even though I can like certain music, I also have to think about can I actually make this successful?
Right.
In my world that I exist in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So like that's an important thing. Like just because you like, let's say some West Coast shit, but if your circle and your network and your relationships can't really benefit signing somebody there, why would you sign that person?
Pointless,
Yeah.
Even if you fuck with it heavy, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, how, like it would take you a lot of work to kind of make that become what it is if you don't have the relationships and the network to make it become something.
Yeah.
You can champion it from afar though still.
Right.
Yeah.
I've done that a lot to guys.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I fuck with you, but like, I can't get at the top of my mountain to fuck with you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But let me help you here. Do this, do that, do
Yeah.
that.
Which is dope.
Let me open a door for you. I mean, let me ask you guys a question. What do you think is in all the years of doing what y'all been doing, what do you think is your biggest impact that you've made through your contributions of what you do?
Oh man, for me,
Life-changing or like?
Personally, what do you feel like is the biggest impact that you have left at this point? Like if you were to die tomorrow, what's the impact that you feel like you've contributed so much in life to?
For me, it would be
Rejuvenating the dance scene in terms of.
but because of this man right here, it feels like we kind of took nothing and made it into something. I kind of feel like we've left that behind for the other crews to see, like, you can do this shit and actually make a bit of money from it. Because at that point in time, like when we were dancing, it didn't.
It's all fun.
It was all fun, and
Right,
there was no lane for that shit whatsoever. But people were laughing at us like, paid dancer for what? I'm dancing right now.
Being able to go and do shows with certain people, like, you know, motioning them with Soul Nation and stuff, and going on to like. For us, like one of the biggest changes, being able to lead, like being this regular hood kid to getting on a plane and actually going on the other side of the world and getting to see other shit and getting to like where other people realize, oh, those guys are from Canada. Those are the Toronto dancers, Bag of Tricks.
Yeah.
Like our first time in Germany, England, like
everywhere.
that was a change.
Man,
like for us, that was just like, did we make it?
Like,
no, because
we kind of left like a lane that can be extended for the rest of the dancers that were following. They were like, oh shit, you actually could do this. Like y'all are making some money off of this, because there was like I said, there was nobody trying to pay nobody for shit. Like when it came to that, and I feel like that's probably the biggest thing. Like for me, that this is me to be like, yo, if you feel like you have nothing, you could take that nothing and make it into something, right? So,
for me, I think it's interesting because a lot of people, oh, you're A&R, you did A&R doing boom, 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 but like that to me, that when people think of A&R, they think like, okay, you signed an act and that act was successful, like that's your impact. That's not
more than that.
For me, I think about impact, like if I died tomorrow, it's like I'm a door opener. I always feel like I want to be a door opener for people.
Yeah.
Like I want to help them get through the doors because I felt like when I grew up, I couldn't get through those doors.
yeah.
And so I've always felt like I want to help people get where they want to be in some shape or another, make their dreams come to reality in some shape or another, you know? And it's awesome to see some of the acts that have become superstars,
Right.
even if I wasn't a huge impact in making that happen, but I do know that I had a seed in that.
You were a spoke in the wheel.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I was a spoke in the motherfucking wheel.
There you are.
Do you know what I'm
spoke in that
saying?
wheel.
That's right.
And so, like, you know, the things that I've been able to create and do and be part of, I realize that, and that's where I get like a real cheerful joy out of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Is that's what I care about. You know,
forward
it's not
movement,
about like how many records somebody sold necessarily, or like what I signed that act that did this. It's like there's acts I never even fucking signed that I was able to do something for, and that's the shit that like really motivates me.
Yeah. True. That's
I just wish I could make more money off of doing that.
right? At the end of the day, right? Yes, yeah, man. It's a beautiful thing, brother. It's a beautiful thing what you've done. That's why we had to have you on here, like.
Just to connect with that, isn't it crazy too? Because I mean, being like one of the persons that like at the pioneer, basically a pioneer of that stage, and then here it is now. Joe Blow or whatever, now they just come out of nowhere and they're super A&Rs, whereas guys like yourselves, dancers like us, we've been doing, like, you know, there's other people in the city too that have paved ways and started it, but it's just like they're not getting that same.
Yeah, but you know what? That's evolution of life.
Indeed, somebody.
Because go back to talking to somebody in like
From our
in
time,
1910
Yeah.
who was trying to be a dancer.
Yeah.
Indeed.
What did they have in comparison to somebody in 1990?
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
now we're in 2022.
Yeah.
They don't have what they had. They have more access than what we had back then.
That's true.
What keeps you relevant in time is you not being resistant
Yes.
to what is changing and happening.
Yeah.
You have to be part of the tide, otherwise you get swept up by the tide.
real.
That's right.
For real.
That's real talk. That's real talk. That's real
That's
talk.
top. That's top. That's top.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you know, you realize, okay, shit, I gotta get some microphones on this motherfucker. I gotta get some lights because everybody else got the lights.
Yep, that's right.
Otherwise, my shit ain't gonna be proper.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you gotta water down your shit either. You just
It's not about watering
Yeah,
down. It's
right.
about being authentically and true to yourself that make you shine through. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Because if you try faking the funk, people smell that
They'll
shit,
see it.
smell funky.
Hell
and
yeah, you're gonna
it's
see it.
done.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, realness shines through. Unfortunately, some things slide through too that ain't that real
Yes.
and get put on, and that's what it is.
Yes.
But that's just because of the nature of the world we live in.
Yeah. That's real. That's real, man.
You know, and those are the one-hit wonders. Those are the guys that they got the
Yes.
slid. We let that slide.
Yes. Yes. The one hit wonders. Right?
We let that slide.
Right?
You know what I'm saying?
Right. If you could change anything when you were, you know, on your journey, would you change anything?
I wouldn't change a damn thing. The only thing I wish I would change is learned financial literacy.
Yeah.
That's a big thing nowadays.
Yo,
man.
I'm glad you said that
That's a
because
big
that's
thing
something that's
nowadays,
lacking
At a younger age. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think I really understood financial literacy of certain things until like 30. And that's way too late in my opinion.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know, if I understood especially when I was making some money when I was younger and not wasting it, I wish I would have like known how to flip it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of like, and I think like that's a constant thing happens in our world.
community.
Do you know what I mean?
that's
Like,
right.
you know,
That's right.
especially in black communities.
Yeah,
you know,
huge.
even hustlers, like, they'll waste it in a certain
yeah.
way.
They'll buy the big
but the
whip.
real kingpins know how to flip it.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying? Because they're more financial literate.
Yeah, they'll still live in the
You know?
hood and buy the big whip and chain and all
Yeah.
that stuff, and they don't really think.
And still
like,
living in government housing.
yeah, and they don't really think
Exactly.
maybe I should buy a little property or open up a little something here and there and spread the money around and make my money work. Work for
But I think, like, if I could change anything, it's not so much about the fire. Like, when I think about it even deeper right now, maybe it's just like my mind, like the way I took in stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like my mind. I wish I could have taken in what I had and looked at it in a different lens. If that
Right.
makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But like, I wouldn't take any of it back. Like, I'm not trying to say I wish it was a different way,
Yeah,
because I wouldn't
yeah.
be where I am. I wouldn't be who I am today without that. You know what I'm
Indeed,
saying?
right, indeed.
Right.
But yeah, you know, especially like the just the foul shit that I've done in my life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
Everybody,
Like,
yeah, we
you
should
know.
wipe that clean slate.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Right.
You know.
Song of the day. No, I'm fucking with you. No,
That's all good.
if you guys don't know David Click Cox, you've got to go on his Instagram. I swear to God, go on his Instagram and just take in what he's doing. It's what you're doing for me.
True historian.
No, yeah, because a lot, like I was saying,
historian.
a lot of people think that you can't dig now because you can't go to the record store and actually look for music. What you're doing for me is like you're blowing my mind. You open my mind up to even more music and making me even realize more. Like, yo, I can go online and dig. Like, I'm like, I can dig online, right? And it's beautiful what you do because you're putting artists out there that people don't know. You know, good music that people should know. Right, because a lot of it, the music is spoon fed, you know, to you. You know, you turn on the radio or the satellite radio,
Right.
and the program is like, here, this is what you're gonna listen to, and you hear that song like 20 times a day, right?
I think for me, it's always, that's like a part of my DNA. I've always been like a discoverer. Like, I actually love discovering shit on my own. And I don't mind people telling me about some shit too. You know what I mean? But I've always, like, I have fond memories of going into the record stores and going and just picking up a record because the way it looked.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, you know, oh shit, this cover's amazing. Who the fuck? Like, I remember like coming across like maybe Gangstar or something like that before even knowing who Gangstar was and being like, yo, this cover's crazy.
We're trying to step in the arena cover with
No,
the big,
this is like Manifest. This is like
okay.
this is
Big
like early,
beginning,
the
yeah.
very beginning shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Beginning.
Like, you know, and I had another one example of how I discovered a record. I was in LA. It was like 92 or 91 around that time. And I was in my aunt was like, you know, I'll buy you a cassette. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'll take you shopping on
I'll take you shot. You can buy one cassette. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh fuck, you know, and I knew what I wanted to buy because I was in LA and my dad hated me that summer because I was in LA. They have a video jukebox.
Yeah.
Where you call in to order your video. My dad was so pissed because the bill was sky high because like Tribe had put out Check the Rhyme that summer.
Oh.
Black Sheep Flavor of the Month was out. MC Breed Future in the Front was out. I remember I was every day calling in to see those videos. Right? So I remember that when those came out, I was like,
Right.
oh, I gotta go back to Canada with these fucking records. So I'm in the record store. I'm like, you got Black Sheep? You got that? I'm like, every day I was trying to find these records. So when summer's over, I'm going back to Alberta. And I'm like, oh, I gotta have some shit. You know?
Yeah.
And I remember that day they didn't have any of those singles that were in the shop. It was only the video because that's what they did back then.
Yeah.
They tease you
Yeah,
first.
they
You're like,
tease
fuck,
you.
you know.
You're like, oh,
it's not like
shit.
today, you know. Video songs up the same day.
No,
it's
yeah,
like
no,
boom, you
no,
know.
no.
Anyway, right? I never forget this because my cousin, big up Cedric, was with me, and we're going in, and I see this cassette. And it says Pete Rock and CL Smooth.
Ooh, the EP?
Yes.
Jeez, I still have that.
So hold on, the soul, right? And I see it, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah, no,
Right,
that-
I pull it out, and I look at it, I'm like, I don't know what this
Nah,
is.
that right
I
there.
hadn't heard Creator yet. I hadn't heard anything had been out yet, right? I'm like, yo, why is this like, why do I feel like I have to buy this? Like, I didn't understand.
Yeah.
And I don't think I like clued into Pete Rock yet. Like, it was stuck in my head, and it's because Heavy D and all these guys would say Pete Rock and CL Smooth. Like,
Yes.
So I knew the name had been embedded in my brain, and now I'm like, no, I have to get this cassette. I have to get this. And my cousin's like, do you know what's? I'm like, no. So you're gonna buy this? You don't even fucking know who's on it. You haven't even fucking heard it? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna buy it. I'm getting this.
Yeah.
He's like, no, man, you can't do that. You'll waste your money. I'm like, nah, dude. This is fire. I know it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then look.
6 on EP was
that shit was
that
fire.
big.
That was my.
I ran beats. You know, I ran that tape till it unwound. Like, you know, when your thing messes up and it glitches and you hear this thing goes and you start to I had to pull that thing and lightly start turning it back to make sure it didn't, like, my shit didn't intertwine and mess up.
All sold out.
Yes. Bananas. To this day, that is still the most bananas EP ever.
That hard.
I fuck with Pete Rock as an MC. I fuck with Pete Rock as an MC, man. I really mess with him.
Yeah, his Soul Survivor.
Yeah, crazy.
Insane. Insane.
But yeah, that you know, it's always been something in me to always like discover and dig and
Oh, you're gonna make
chase,
me go home
chase,
and kill that too.
chase
now.
things
Right?
and
So
chase
bad.
things and find things and like, you know, just get open and then like I did a whole like couple months of like just black rock shit, and I was like, man, I want to find all the illest black rock shit that nobody knows about.
Yeah, right?
You know what I mean? And I found shit that I didn't know about. I was like, oh fuck, this shit's crazy. Like, you know what I mean?
You dropped a lot of shit that put me on to new genres of music too. I was like, oh, click put that up on me. Listen to that shit. I'm like,
I listen to every.
damn.
The only thing you won't see me post on my page is something country.
Yeah, right.
And probably something, but I shouldn't say that because, you know, I might come across some break shit. I might come across some
never
shit
know,
like,
right?
yo, this is ill. You know what I mean?
You never know, right?
But it's gonna be hip hop vibe why I did it. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
But like, and classical is not something I've always really gotten into personally. But like, you know, if it's jazz, if it's you know rock, if it's
classical
you know,
for me was
punk,
always
like
just
I just.
Bugs Bunny and shit.
And you know what it is? I think I'm an aggressive person.
Okay.
Not aggressive in the sense of like, I'm gonna beat you up aggressive, but I just aggressive energy.
Yeah.
And I like aggressive energy in my music. Like I want shit to hit me over the head. I like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
when it's all said and done, I don't mind a little I need love type of shit too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because,
But it's like-
because the slum was in, when I first heard Slum Village, I was like, this shit is really smooth. Like, it was.
Yeah, but the
it was
beats
grit,
though, the way that he has the offbeat type of drum pattern and shit,
yeah.
it's like a little.
Yeah, it's like a boom. It's like, oh, you thought it was coming.
Like,
Here it is.
I keep hitting you. I'm sorry.
It's nudging you for real.
Yeah,
No, it's on. That's exactly what it does.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
it gives you that nudge.
It's a
like,
little
yo,
nudge, like, yo, you can't.
And
don't
the grit
fucking
behind
sleep.
it.
You gotta
Don't sleep.
take this
Because
in.
it
Yeah,
wasn't
don't.
clean.
Yeah,
It wasn't clean.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
first thing that they dropped, the Fantastic Volume 1, that shit was gritty. Like, even the microphone. Dyke was even telling us, he's like, yo, they were rapping out of headphones, B. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, what? This is
You
crazy.
can tell though. Yeah. And I get like, and I think for me too is like DJ culture. Like we didn't even talk about that. Like that's part of DJ culture. It's like you know going and buying records. Like, you know, I was also a DJ, right? So like, when I lived in Edmonton, I had a radio show.
There you go.
So I did radio before I was in the Maximum Infinitive,
Oh, wow. Word.
right? So
Did not know that,
yeah,
my brother.
yeah,
Word.
yeah. So I had a hip hop radio show on University of Alberta. So I was always into like going out to record stores, buying records, but I was whack as fuck. I won't lie. Like I could not scratch, I could not beat mix.
Bro, it wasn't. Bring him to class and
No, it was actually Masimba.
Oh,
It was actually Masimba that taught me.
Word.
You know what I'm saying? So like, because I was like, and Darp actually could beat mix, but he's a terrible teacher. So like, I would try to get him to teach me, but he could never teach me. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't until I met Sims that he actually taught me how to like properly catch the
Time
beat.
your music,
and
yeah.
like, and he
He's
was
such an
such,
amazing
and he was just
soul.
such an amazing soul. And we first met.
Sims,
I forget it. Some
No,
event.
he's the B-boy DJ straight.
Yeah, we met at some event, and he was like, "Yo, yo, you're from that group Max Infinitive, boom, boom, boom. And I was like, yo, you're from that Planes of Fascination. Like, I remember his video because his video was somewhat similar, like their vibes were somewhat similar to us. And he's like, yeah, you guys use the meters and boom, boom, boom. And he started dropping all these jewels. I'm like, yo, I don't know who.
Oh, he's amazing, man.
He started dropping all the,
so much for
all the encyclopedia shit. I was like, yo, ill. And then we found out we live in the same hood in the borough. And I was like, okay, yo, I got 12. He's like, you got 12s? I'm like, yeah, I got 12s, right?
Right?
He's like,
because at that times when you got 12s,
right.
It was
he's like, you got 12s, you got a mixer. Like, what the fuck you mean you don't know what you're doing? Says, yo, he says, come by the crib. So he came by and he taught me everything, and that was it. You know what I mean? But I wish I had met him like years earlier when I was doing the radio show and like able to really put that into back then. But I was just like playing a record. I wasn't like, doing a damn thing. You know what I mean?
But he's the first person I've seen do needle drops.
Oh, needle drops? Yeah.
Repeating the shit, and he was back. Like,
oh, he could cue it, man.
He used to call me. We're at a jam, eh? He used to call me over to the turntables. Yo, Benzo, look at that. And show me, and I'd be like,
my favorite memory of Sims. Anytime we walked in, and he was on,
and he pointed at you.
Do one of these, like it's like he knew you'd come in, and you'd be like,
oh, and he knew what he's about to. He's like, I'm playing something for you.
He pointed right at you, and he's like. Then once you seen him go like this, next thing you know, some of the funk tracks.
And then when he sees your happiness in your soul,
he just continues playing on that.
And you see his smile.
Fuck,
I
man.
miss that guy
Honest
so
Sims,
much,
man. For real.
I miss that guy so much, man. And there's actually a record. I'm gonna send it to you because I think you might know it. I don't know if you might know it, but there's a dude. I got a video of him DJing at a Manifesto event, and there was a b-boy, I think Venom,
from Montreal.
Popper,
from Montreal.
From Montreal, and he was dancing. And he was playing this amazing fucking record. And to this day, I've tried jamming it. I cannot. I played it for Sirius. I don't know what the fuck this record is.
Sims can find some stuff.
But it's like popping. The song goes, it's popping. It's so fucking ill. And Venom was
going off,
destroying it.
Yeah. Venom is.
He was doing all types.
He
was destroying it.
Yo, just see, brother. Just see. Yo, that's what I'm saying, brother. You could see, and this is what made me
real authentic.
Like, click with you, literally, is because that same energy you're showing right now, that's like, that's the type of energy we love. Like, you know what I mean? You always brought that energy.
I'm a b-boy.
You're a b-boy.
I'm a motherfucking b-boy. So the energy that you're going to get right here is that energy. And that's where I come from. And that's, I move through life through that energy source.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing to be, like, I'm so thankful to be born in the 70s.
Right?
to be able to witness and be part of the birth of hip hop.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And to feel that.
And still be born in an era of soul music too.
But it's also really ill to meet young people that have that same essence. And it blows me away.
He's one of them.
but it blows me away. Like, I remember my barber back in the day. No, I do it myself since COVID, right?
Yeah.
You know,
same here.
Get my wife to do my shit. You know what I mean? But I used to go to a barber, and he was like 22 years old, and we made this agreement. He's like, "Listen, man, I don't listen to anything new. I'm all about the old school shit, but I don't know it all. I'll make a deal. You bring me fucking USB of music, and I'll cut your hair for free." And that's what I used to do. And he would be like, yo, I love Big L, I love this. We trade music that way.
That's so dope.
But I was always blown away that, like, this kid's like in his early 20s and wants to know all the early shit. And embody it and breathe it and own it and understand it. And come from the roots and the essence of it. And that's the real deal. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, when you understand that, and you come with that level of respect, it will it will hug you back. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
that's
saying?
right.
For sure.
That's right.
For sure.
Yo, Elements, episode 3, season 2.
Bam, bam.
Bomb, bomb, bomb.
Yo,
Thank you so much, brother.
Yo, thank you guys, man. Like, yo, these are OG legends, right?
Give
You
me-
guys are OGs to me, and I love you guys.
And brother, you're considered an
Your
OG.
flowers are
yeah,
mostly
you're considered an
deserved.
OG to us as well. And you need we wanted from a long time we wanted you to on the show. And we
We're
wanted
gonna
to
have
give
you back.
Oh,
Definitely.
for sure.
Definitely.
We wanted to make sure you getting the flowers and that respect that people because we want people to see like some of the backbones of what Toronto's scene is like. You know what I mean? You're one of the people.
Yeah,
that-
because now we got the biggest artists in the world on top of the charts, right? You got The Weeknd, you got Drake, you got Bieber, like all of that now that's
you're part of
happening.
the vertebrae.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
you definitely a part of that vertebrae. man.
Great, right?
Definitely.
That all came from somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's important that
Respect.
we let the people
Well, it's
know.
also important, like what you guys are doing is like, giving people insight into like where things came from or hearing people's perspective on things. I think it's important for like, especially the younger OGs, the younger generation, youngins paying attention. Like hopefully they getting something out of this and learning something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, they learned a lot today. Thank you so much, man.
Respect,
Huge.
Thank you guys for tuning in with us. We're going to be back. See you soon. Peace. Big up to Laylo.
Oh, man.
1144
Trust me,
College
bro.
Street West.
Woo!
Beautiful. Beautiful.
That was fun. I just didn't want to stop.
Oh, brother, don't worry. Because there's so much other people going to come back and do another show again, too. Like you, Dank wants to come back for another one.